I do magically. It's just Irish on Irish action here. We're here for the AK Fighters Section podcast. It is the Javier Mendez podcast channel. Once in a while, I will take up the slack and go interview some fighters because Javier is building the world right now. And I've got Myles Price, who's been accused of being the spy. But that's okay. I like talking to spies. People see an Irish guy training with Khabib. How did that come to be? How'd you end up training with Khabib?
Well, first time. What happened was after I fought Norman Park on a promotion called Brave, and I fought him in the co-main event, and it was a great fight. It was a typical striker versus grappler fight. Kudos to him; he did a great job. I didn't have a lot of time to prepare for the fight, to be honest. I only had like a month because I fought a month before that, and but I feel like, I'll be honest with you, it probably would have been a hard fought. He probably would have came out with the same result because my striking was a lot better. My jiu-jitsu was good, but his wrestling was just on a different level at the time. And I just felt like, look, if I want to keep progressing in my career, I have to kind of get outside my comfort zone a little bit, get some perspective, and go to a top-level gym. So I first looked at TriStar. I got onto my teammate Redzer. He was over there before, but I was like, oh fuck that, it's freezing over there. I want to get away from the Irish weather. and then I messaged Jackson Winks, and it's not that I wouldn't like to train there. I'd love to train there. I heard some bad stories about some domestic kind of I don't know, just like people falling out and stuff like that. So I was like, I kind of want to go to a gym where there's a nice vibe. So kickboxing's my background. It's in the title of Javier's gym. They have the best wrestlers in the world there, like Daniel Cormier, Khabib, not to mention the likes of Kyle Crutchmere, Ed Roof, just some unbelievable wrestlers. So I couldn't ask for more than American Kickboxing Academy. So it went from there then, and then a string of coincidences all came together to make me the spy.
Well, I mean, were you asked, were you over interviewed because you were from Ireland, because people might have because you sparred with Connor once, or you worked out with him for a little while, but you weren't permanently with Connor's team, right?
I was actually at one stage permanently with Connor's team. Yeah, I was one of their kind of top. I was one of their top guys actually, and I taught for them as well. I taught for them in their city centre gym. I was the head striking coach there. I was a very big part of the gym actually, to be honest with you. It was just some domestics went on between me and John. I wasn't in the right place to commit to being a professional athlete at the time, like I am now, really, to be honest. And he had certain expectations, and I had different expectations, and it didn't suit him. So he kind of decided. I didn't agree with how he dealt with it. I think that I'd probably still be part of SBG, but maybe not, because if that's the way he handles things, I probably would have fallen out with him eventually anyway. So hopefully he's learned from that experience. If not, it's just nothing to do with me. So.
Well, I mean, you're your own man. You're training to be successful in your own fight, and you're going to where the training suits you. You're not a loyalist to some cult that's against this guy or that guy. I mean, there's people that train in the same gym that end up fighting some days, and they've seen each other's look. They've got tape on each other. They've watched 20 fights on this guy. I mean, what more is there to know, right? At a certain part.
Exactly, is it? How would I give any extra information on McGregor that Khabib would already know? And at the end of the day, I don't think Khabib's the type of guy that's going to care too much about what the other guy is doing. He's going to get in there and he's going to do what he has to do. That's what athletes are. It's not about focusing on what the guy across from you is doing. It's about focusing on what you're doing, And there's a couple of tricks and tips that you could definitely use, but I mean, the fact of the matter is that 95% of what he's doing is his own mindset, and him focusing on what he has to do and do what he does best, and that's it.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you get to be in there. You get to spar with Habib, didn't you?
Yeah, a good few times. Yeah, as far as Khabib. Yeah.
And was it more than what you thought on TV? Was it what was different? I mean, without giving away any secrets or any gym insider. I mean, like, what did you feel it was like? Was it more intense? Was it harder? Was it easier? What was it?
I'll be honest with you. I think the whole atmosphere is very well set up in AK. It actually reminds me a little bit of how they do things in my gym and in SBG, but I think it's more emphasized, you know. So the fact that you're kind of like called from the light sparring room, the play sparring room, I suppose you could call it, and you're brought
Mm-hmm.
into the cage room and there's no music, there's two corner men. It's a lot harder, like as in like the intensity's a lot more. You're hitting a lot harder, etc. So like that was kind of like a little bit of a taken back kind of thing, and then so yeah, there's an adjustment period to that, and then sparring Habib himself. He is everything that people do say he is. Like he's an extremely good grappler. He doesn't give you any inches, which is why you kind of have to. If you have an inch and you feel like you can take it, you should take it, and you should just go and follow through with a chain of events to get yourself out of a certain situation that he has you in, and try and capitalize it in the best way that you can. Because if not, he's going to just hold you there the whole round, and he's very good at that, you know. And what I love about Habib's style, I feel like is that he's almost made the he kind of like exaggerated what Mark Munoz did, you know, with that vicious ground and pound. Like everybody any fan that's not really in the MMA kind of like circle or know how, they always want to see the knockout artists, but Habib's made a very popular style out of wrestling and ground and pound now. So yeah, I love that kind of style. It's very good.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't. He was up against a pretty challenging opponent. And now you're going to see, because of this whole virus thing, all this stuff worked out. People have their own views. I strongly believe he made the right move. He
I do.
tried to, he was told it's going to be in Dubai. He flew there. He was ready to train. The guy was at the guy, he would not run, and you're not even there. The guy. You're like, what would that
Oh,
guy
of
run from?
course.
If anything, he would
Oh, there's
run
not.
run towards a fight instead of run away from a fight, right?
I think Habib has good morals, and I respect that about Habib. He's learned a lot from his father and Javier, and he holds his ground when he needs to. And you have to respect a man like that. You know, like he's not going to do things for other people; he's going to do it for himself, and that's you have to respect that. Like at the end of the day, UFC don't have the cards to play at the moment. They need Habib, like you know what I mean, and it's that simple. And they pretty much need Habib for the Connor card, because that fight's probably going to happen again.
Everybody keeps pushing that, and I'm not saying that that's what's happening. Not that I have any insight on it either. But when you talk with Javier, he says this is sports entertainment. This is not a linear sport. They will make a match if the match sells. All cards are based on that. So, for example, if we were using football, as you call it in Europe, soccer, then we could make our own matches. You would put, Spain versus Juventus. You know what I mean? It's like you would, Manchester
Mm.
United versus you would pick the top matches, the Connor versus Habib type matches, more than you would
Mm.
wait for a whole season through, 10 other teams or 20 other teams before they get to the World Cup, right? I
Of
forget the
course,
numbers.
of
It's been so
course.
long since I watched, professional soccer and football, but
Yeah,
I
Javier's
know.
Javier's. Sorry, go ahead.
No, 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 no. I pretty much made my point there.
You
You know what
did.
I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think deep down as a martial artist, and even I'm sure Javier would probably have this mindset as well, that it's a pity that martial arts isn't kind of the way it was. And I feel like that if you had to choose the right way for it to be, it wouldn't be kind of based upon those kind of stats, even though they do make sense business wise and money wise. I feel like that from a moral standpoint, I feel martial arts should be based on shouldn't be based on the smack talkers or the money makers. It should really be based on athlete skills, their time in the game, their records, their performances, their, you know what I mean, like the respect built from that, you know what I mean, years of grind and hard work. And that's what should be at the top of cards and stuff like that, not just because you're a smack talker. And I feel like that, you know, that should be the way the game is, but it's not the way the game is. Like, you know what I mean? He's right. Like, the fact of the matter is that, you know, they're the big money fights, you know. And even though there's a lot of guys in the UFC that would probably deserve to fight way above Connor. Like, I mean, how many times has Connor skipped the line in the UFC? Like, you know. And that's just the way it is. Like, it's not a fair sport, you know. You want to climb up that ladder, man. You got to talk some fucking serious shit, and that's it.
That's the business model. You can't deny it. And I mean, Javier was not so mad at it. He's like, it is what it is. I think, because I didn't get to make my point, but I mean, he's like, this is the business model. So imagine if you could make more exciting matches in soccer, you would keep it at a higher peak. But if you only have 4 or 5 of those to make, then you're not making people wait for them to happen. So,
yeah,
you know, and the sport business, what do the fans want to see? Obviously, the numbers tell you by what's selling. You can't deny that. You know what I mean? It's like, they should really buy these oranges, but they're buying the hell out of these apples. Damn it. You know, and that's just kind of how it goes, you know? So how is quarantine and training in Ireland? What's the situation in Ireland?
Yeah, it's grand. Like, it's very strict at the moment. We're stuck indoors. We're not allowed to go any more than 2 kilometers away from our home. There's 2 meter gap between people, social distancing, etc. And yeah, sure. Training's going well. I'm training 1-2 times a day. You know, nutrition isn't exactly on point, but I don't care. You know, I'm just training and keeping my conditioning up. And yeah. My main goal for this year was, I had a couple of things that happened to me with the Irish card. I was meant to go on in February, and I was meant to, or not February, before that, and I was meant to fight in November. A couple of things happened there. My main goal was to fight somewhere towards the end of the year. I was in talks with signing a contract with Ali for management. So hopefully before the end of the year, I get that sorted, we get a fight done, and I get in there and I represent my Team Rhino, my country, and my extended family in AK, and I get in and get a job done. So
what would you say, what would you say the magic recipe of AKA is? I've heard, I bet it's unanimous with what everybody says. What do you think you felt as a fighter going there to experience it? I'm going to tell you what I relayed to the Italian fighter. I said, this is the elite university. This is the Stanford, the Harvard, the super elite university for fighters. And that's because there's a program and there's a balance. I mean, do you think that statement's pretty clear? I mean,
Yeah, I do. I think there's a program. I think that there's a lot of honesty in AK, and I feel like that. Like, every time I stepped in the gray, I think you're gonna get a lot out of AK from what you put in. You know, like, you're not gonna get babysitted there either. You have to be independent, and you have to make the most of your time there. And you can't go around complaining about, like, you know, what's there and what's not there. You really do just have to make the most out of what's at AK. Like, it took me, like, you know, even the last time I was over there with you guys, I feel like that I came up with, like, a really nice routine. Like, say for instance, like, I didn't know that Javier has this little run he does with guys at like 4:30, I think, on a Tuesday, Thursday, just up the road. And I started going to that as well. And then I was going to extra sessions, and I was figuring out about things and talking to people. Like, the thing is about being a fighter is that you have to be super independent. And the honesty with the coaches, like the way they structure the grey room spars, the honesty with Javier, Bob, and all the other guys there, the insight they give you is kind of it's worth so much. It's very, very organic, and it's very to the point, and it's exactly what you need to hear. And if you have that growth mindset, and you're able to take those things in, practice them and apply them, and also make the most and go out and try and search for the best help you can get within that gym, you're going to become like a world-class athlete out of that facility 110%.
Yeah, it's realizing the opportunity. If you're mature enough in your time in the fight sport, you'll get it faster. If you're a young fighter and you have to adapt, and then you have to know the value of things. You know, you might not know the value of something until you've had or not had. And, you know, they like the Italian fighter Enrico. I bring him up, you know, because he's from my hometown, but he's like, he was telling this other guy that my friend Dino, who has a gym up in Milan, he's like, oh my gosh, that place is just solid. These guys are straight up. This is how I always wanted to train. He's like, I've been to other fights, other gyms, some you may or may not have mentioned. And he's like, the quality was not there. And, you know, there might be one or two winning fighters out of other gyms. I'm not saying that other gyms don't have something better or worse, you know what I mean? But there's something special about what that place brings and the consistency.
It brings, you know, I think it brings out the best in you as a person. It very much is a family, a community. Like for me, like they really are like my extended family across the water. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was meant to go over actually the week that I wasn't going to go anyway, but it was just ironic that literally the Wednesday they blocked all flights to Ireland and the UK. And then they and I was meant to go on the Thursday to go over to you guys for a month. So I was looking forward to that. But I'll be over there when all this is over. But I feel like that they're definitely a great family vibe over there. Everybody cares about each other. Everyone's very honest with each other. But you have to be an independent athlete there too. Nobody's going to babysit you. You have to push hard. You have to outsource as much as you can. Be open-minded as much as you can. But at the same time, work in the community. So a lot of interdependent style stuff, you know.
Well, I think we've established from the beginning that you're not a spy. You're just a guy doing his own thing.
So there's you know that though? I'm actually still a member of SBG. Imagine if they came out with that.
That would have been funny.
Yeah.
Well, here's the funny thing about that. If there was a spy, what can they really spy on? I mean, if they're a fighter, they're too busy getting hit in the face trying to defend themselves to pay attention to what's happening with the other guy. You know what I mean?
I don't know. It's ridiculous to think that, like, you know what I mean? But it was great publicity, though. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, like, I really enjoyed the experience. To be honest with you, I was just speaking my mind, and I was just being honest, like, you know what I mean? Like, I was you know what I mean? I was in a sticky situation, but I enjoyed it too. I know who I am, you see. I have my morals and principles in check. So I knew everyone from Ireland, all the keyboard warriors, would be calling me a rat. So I was like, sure, whatever. I don't even like it. I don't. Well, honestly, I don't like the attitude of a lot of the SBG guys. I think they don't give a great image for Irish MMA. I think it's a little bit of an egotistical mindset, like, you know, over the top kind of thing, a little bit clannish too. And so I didn't mind speaking my mind on that, if I was being honest with you, you know. I don't have any dislike to them. I just don't agree with how they go on. That's all, you know. So there's a big difference between the two.
There's been other martial arts schools historically that I've seen that, you know, had a brand or they had something, you know what I mean? That, you know, they had some kind of way about them that, you know, they were like brainwashed by their sensei, and they're like the Karate Kid movie, and they're wearing the skeleton suits looking for little Danny to pick on. I mean, I've seen this, you know, they take it a little too far. But where did you get your start in martial arts?
I was a quick rundown. I suppose I was 16. I was working in the gym in Kilkenny, my hometown in Ireland. It's about an hour and a half away from Dublin. A lad walked into the gym one day. This Polish fella, he set a cauliflower in his arm and like 2 cabbages sellotape to the side of his head. And I was like, what the fuck is up with that lad's ears?
those were ears. He thought he had some cauliflower on he's wearing cauliflower earrings, but those were his ears.
Yeah, well, sure. Like you just think he's deformed or something, like
Right.
and oh, poor fella, what happened to him, And sure, I just said, what the fuck happened to yours, man? And he was like, oh, he didn't have much English, but became good friends, and he started teaching me wrestling. I already had a bit of a professional kickboxing background in me at that stage, and it kind of all went from there. I started doing like amateur shows, and I turned pro pretty quick at 18, so I have a couple of losses on my record because it was from like just back then it was just backyard stuff.
Yeah.
And then I fought Norman Park, actually, bringing him up again. I lost to him twice now, the figure. I fought him in a co-main event again, actually, on the show up in Letterkenny in Belfast called what was it called again? Cage Contender. And John Ferguson's show it was. And I lost to John. But John Kavanagh basically kind of like said to me, look, do you want to, he met me up there that day, and we got chatting. He said, look, do you want to move in with me? I see you have a bit of potential, and we can you can train with me, and you can do this and do that, etc., etc. And yeah, so I kind of paid me way by just teaching out there, and he kind of looked after me, and then sure, we just kind of went from there then,
I have an interesting question, because this you probably have never been asked, but
Go on.
so you sparred and trained with Connor, and then later you trained with Khabib before they ever fought. Could you tell at that point who was going to win before they fought? Huh?
Sure I did. Oh, back then.
Yeah, could you tell after you sparred with them before they ever fought? You had sparred with both of them before they had their match, correct? Before Khabib fought Connor, right?
Oh yeah.
You get the question? So could you tell after sparring with Connor and after sparring with Khabib, who would be the winner? Was there any indicators?
I don't think. To me anyway, I felt like that Khabib had the upper hand. Just because the thing is that this is why Connor is very appealing. You can't count the fucker out, like, because he can knock anyone out. But Khabib has never shown any signs of really being like, and everyone goes on about him getting like a rocked off Michael Johnson. I was like, yeah, so what? If anything, it gave a sign that he's very good at taking a shot and then moving on past that and adapting and in the fight in a difficult situation. So it was like, yeah, Connor could knock him out, but Khabib, he's more fundamentally sound. Like somebody said this to me in an interview there, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and they're like, who do you think will win between Ferguson and Khabib? And I was like, well, Khabib all day, obviously, because at the end of the day, like, Tony Ferguson is wild. He's crazy. He's made up his own dictionary of fucking techniques. Like, nobody really knows what he's going to do. And yeah, it's won him a lot of fights. But if you throw him in against a fundamentally sound grappler with serious conditioning, like Khabib, I mean, like, he's just going to, it's going to be a tough fight, but he's going to win. Obviously, you know what I mean? Because he's more fundamentally sound. That's the same case with Connor. If Connor doesn't knock Khabib out, Khabib's such a high percentage grappler. His conditioning is on another level. It's just, of course, he's going to win. Like, so it's 70-30 in my opinion. When I was going into the fight, I said it's 70-30. 70% Khabib, 30% chance Connor's going to knock him out between rounds 1 and 2. If it gets to round, I predict it as well, if it gets to round 4, he's going to finish him. Submit him or TKO him or ground and pound.
So you should have bet some money on that. You could have retired. You had insider information. You sparred with both of them.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Whoa. No, I'm kidding.
Whoa, bro.
Whoa, dude. Yeah. You start speaking California slang when you come out here. You're an Irish guy. You're like, hey, dude, man. You're like,
no, I miss the California life.
It is a place, right? It'll bring.
I love out there.
Yeah, this is come on, coming out of Ireland. Ireland looks beautiful, but it doesn't get this kind of weather most of the time, right? It's a beautiful when it's all green on a sunny day. It looks gorgeous.
I'll be honest with you, my 2 favorite places in the world are San Jose or San Francisco, just Bay Area. Here, my county in Kilkenny. And probably close third would be Berlin. I love Berlin.
I like Berlin too. That's funny.
Love Berlin. Beautiful.
You wouldn't have guessed that I like Berlin too, man. I was in Berlin before you were born. You know, I was
I'd say that. Yeah, old bastard, yeah.
You listen, you know, I was over there when they still had the wall. I was a kid in high school, and went through Checkpoint Charlie and went on the other side, and it was spooky. It was like being in a weird, you know, black and white movie with spies and shit. And then I came back, and I wanted to go live there, but I ended up out here. And you know, since I already seen Berlin, I'm glad I'm in California. But Berlin's very cool. It's a very progressive city. A lot of nightlife, a lot of good food, and you know,
Yeah, nightlife is great, and great food. Yeah, two big favorites.
That's why I wanted to move there back then. But as I say, to see that inside of the Connor Khabib, you were one of the few people on the planet that actually knew what that was like. And I mean, yeah, you got to give some percentage to his chance with his knockout power for sure. I mean, everybody does, you know, but there's certain people like fighters of the past that they were given prestige based on their iron chin, like that was a thing. Iron chin is not a thing. You know what I mean? After a while, if you get rocked enough, it seems like there's theories and stuff. I mean, I may have my own too, but I hear people like, there's a little thing that gets loose here and it's just like, and he gets knocked out. You know, certain people that might have like taken it out of the chin, like lead with their chin every fight. And then later, you know, they've been worn down. What is your theory on that about getting knocked out too many times? Does it become easier to knock you out, you think?
Definitely. I think so. Yeah. I feel like that if you take too many hard shots, it's going to, but I think there's a lot of variables involved in that. I mean, yeah, like it's no coincidence that, like, say for instance, Chuck Liddell, like, you know, had a chin of granite for years, and the next thing he gets knocked out. Like, you know, like that's kind of a indication of somebody that probably his chin just couldn't take anymore, and that was it. But then you have individuals like Nate Diaz that have just like taken shots his whole career and has never been knocked out really. He's only been TKO'd by AKA's Josh Thompson. So I mean, like it comes down to I do believe in it, but it comes down to the individual also, you know.
Yeah, I could see that. It's been interesting to see how this whole thing evolves. How big is MMA in Ireland?
Oh, MMA in Ireland's massive. It's huge. It's like it's pretty rampant anyway. You know, you wouldn't think of where I'm from anyway. You know, because I live down the country. When I go to Dublin, like lads, they be coming up to me going, "Oh, well, Myles, you're that fucking you dirty rat bastard." No, fuck you, Myles. No, they'd be all right actually. Everyone is actually really nice to me, you know what I mean, and they're sound, and they get pictures and all, you know, all that general stuff. Like, we wouldn't happen the whole time, but like, you know, when I go up to Dublin, like a sparing occasion would happen, but down here in Kilkenny, you'd never get that, you know. That's the country mindset, you know what I mean? They're like, so fuck off.
Yeah. Over there, they're like, you're somebody now, and all of a sudden you go back home. I mean, that was like, you know, when Javier would go over to Dagestan, everybody treated him like a national hero because they respect the coaches as much as the fighters in those countries. So you get people greeting him at the airplane and over this, over that. And then the next thing you know, he's back in San Jose. We're eating eggs for breakfast. You went, huh? And so, hey, Hav, hey, what's up? And that was like level 10 there. Hey, Hav, okay. You know, and so he's like, reprieve, you know, because it's a trip to get that attention. And other people are living through the experience and you're not even aware that they are, right? I mean, there's
exactly, yeah.
So are you guys getting any types of help from the government, or is that how does it work in Ireland for this situation?
Actually, we're getting fucking treated very well from our government, to be honest with you, Len. We get not as much money as what I'd make in my gym doing privates and stuff like that, but I'm making, the government are giving us for the next 12 weeks, we're getting €350 a week. So that's about $350 as well, straight into our bank account. So, I mean, that's pretty fucking good if you ask me. Like, I mean, I don't think I'd be getting that treatment in the States.
No, they give out, some people are getting checks, but some people aren't. It's mysterious. Yeah. It's mysterious. It's like, good.
Sending you out free sending you out some syringes with that all in it.
Well, here's the thing. Over here, they said I've been drinking a lot of bleach. No, kidding. But you see, they've been sending us stimulus checks, not me, but other family members, yes, and there's other people like for your business, like let's say you have a small gym like yours, but there's a McDonald's, a huge corporation. Well, McDonald's is getting 50 million, but Myles Price is getting nothing, or 20% of what it costs to pay the lease for his gym. So that's what it would be. That's the comparison. That's the metaphor or analogy for the situation, right?
Right.
So what do you do with your time? Do you do a lot of gymnastics, puppet shows? I mean, what's your thing?
I I do. I'll be honest with you. I've done a lot of work with my online presence. I have a handle for my personal training called Myles Price Fit. So I'm just putting a lot of emphasis on that. I brought my personal training online, so something I've been meaning to do for a long time. I'm training like running, doing weights, doing shadow boxing, all that stuff, and I'm trying to keep my team morale high. The team I have here in Kilkenny, just keep them ticking over all the time.
That's
with
good.
Just accountability stuff like runs and stuff like that. And I'll be honest with you, I obviously don't. It's very sad what's going on with COVID-19, but for me, I'm just really enjoying the simple life at the moment. Usually my life is very hectic, so I'm just super enjoying just getting up kind of whenever you want, reading a book for a few hours and not letting your mind isn't drifting off into something that you could be having to do tomorrow or something that happened that day. I'm just being in the moment more, and I'm being able to do things like ring my family and friends and catch up with people and contact people and see how they are, and some things that I really urge to do, but I forget or I procrastinate on because I'm busy with work or whatever.
Well, so it's like a paid vacation for a guy that lives on a commission basis. Finally, you don't have to earn that commission, and you get the check coming in, and it's good. It's good for you. I mean, for other people, they have nothing and they have nothing. It's
very sad. It's very sad.
Well, I was just doing a podcast. We get one of the AKA fighters. I won't say it on this one because I might release it before or after, but he's got a fight coming up on one of these magical cards. What did you think about Fight Island? Does that sound like a Bruce Lee Enter the Dragon movie to you?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, to be honest with you. I think that I don't like Dana White at all, to be honest with you. I think he's a bit of a fucking idiot. He just it was very obvious that he should not have kept pushing that April card. You know what I mean? He was putting the life of he was putting the lives of the fighters and the people that were working under the promotion, in danger. And all for what? To stroke your ego, to say that you could do it, and I'm not letting this fight slip away from me again. So fucking what? You know what I mean? Get down. Everyone else has to fucking take a step back and relax and respect it. You know what I mean? Just go off and play in your backyard and your fucking, you know what I mean? Your fucking go-karts, whatever you have. There's a big kids playground at the back there.
Well, it's interesting that fight card get canceled because of other MMA media leaking the location. And so that basically gave a week of time, a window for all the governors and big authorities and big corporations to get assaulted by the people that put them in office or pay their bills or, support them financially, to be like, look at what you're letting happen. So that's why he was trying to hold the last time to say, ta-da, because if nobody leaked it, that card would have went down. And
no, it wouldn't be the right thing to do, though.
I mean, everybody's right now, domestic violence is up. People are craving an outlet. There's a lot of crazy shit going on because of this situation, right?
So I'd say domestic violence is well up, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, people are drinking at home and they're trapped at home, and now it's like Survivor Island with what may have been the perfect husband or wife for them, but now there's nowhere to escape. And you're trapped with this one. You thought, hey, me and Susie would do great at this island all by ourselves until you get there and you're like, okay, I don't like the way she pulls the coconuts off the tree. Well, and then I'm going to chop them. No, I should be, I'm just saying, like, the stupid arguments that ensue. I predict a lot of divorces will come out of this situation.
Oh, damn. I think the divorce rates are well up anyway at the moment. I think they've gone up. Like, I think they're statistically up. Yes, so it's sure enough.
When is your predicted time of opening for more liberal, like more than 2 kilometer radius? What's that? What are you hearing in the news for Ireland?
They're saying May 5th. So that's when they're making a call on it now. Look, I can't see anything lifting for a while, any restrictions lifting. I just feel like that that unless you have like a vaccine sorted, or there's some sort of a dip in the curve that they're talking about, then what reason have they got really to lift restrictions? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, especially if there's cases and deaths are going up by the day as well. Like, you know, it's like you need to have some sort of anchor to restrict, to tell us to go back out again or whatever. You know what I mean? You're after in placing these restrictions for a reason, and if that reason is getting worse and worse, why would you lift the restrictions? You know, so I can't see it happening for. I don't know. I don't think we're going to be out. I don't personally think we're going to be out till July, August.
Yeah, that's possible. They just extended the shelter in place in California through May. I'm probably staying at the beach house because I don't want to go back to my apartment. And I don't care.
I wouldn't if I was you.
No, you'd be on the beach. This is like, I don't know. Some people, you choose how you do your quarantine, man. Out here, we can go more than 1 kilometer. I could go run for 20 miles. It's no problem. But I'm not going to any nightclubs. We're not sitting in Starbucks. We're not at the diner. We're not, trying to spend too much time at the grocery store. Try to keep our distance, stay away from people. I have no inclination to even go hang out with my friends at this point in person. It's not, I'm just like, I'd like to, but better off not right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? And the phone call is just fine. But, so for anybody in Ireland, would you recommend that they come to AKA, that as long as they don't work for Connor?
Oh, fuck yeah. I'd recommend anybody to go to AK. Like, I mean, they're so welcoming there. They're a great bunch of guys. And oh man, I'll be honest with you, I'm still trying to get some of my teammates to come over with me from Team Rhino. But it just hasn't worked out that way. Like, you know what I mean? Every time I've gone to go, it's just a lot of guys haven't had the money or they have some on. So hopefully I bring over some of the paddies from my own team. But like, rest assured, this paddy will be over there anyway. So.
Well, I mean, I've met your friend, the psychologist, and he was saying how.
Oh, Richie, Richie's such a big influence in my MMA career. Like, I mean, he's had to deal with me and my bleeding head for the duration of the last couple of years of my fights, and he's an absolute treat. He's one of those guys that he's salt of the earth, like, you know what I mean. He's just a great guy, great human being. He really would do anything in the world for you, and he's a super good sports psychologist, like top of the range sports psychologist. Really supportive as well, and I was so happy he came out for the few weeks. I was really happy. And he got on so well with all you guys as well. Oh yeah. He got on so well with all the fighters there too, So it was a pleasure.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He actually invited me to come hang out there. I'm like, cool. And we almost did, but we still had to, we're like, we have so much time. There's no COVID. Oh shit, there's COVID. So that changes things. But when that's gone, and one of these days, I definitely want to come to Ireland for sure. But I mean, He was a nice guy to get to know, and I hope he's doing well. You guys have been staying in touch throughout this time?
Oh, geez, we have. Yeah, I've missed him a couple of. I've been meaning to ring him there over the last couple of days, so I'm probably going to give him a bell tomorrow, I say, or the next day. So, me and Rich always somewhat stay in contact. So, yeah.
Well, listen, man, it's been a great time doing this podcast with you. I think we've established that you've only been spying for yourself, and You know, this interrogation is coming to an end.
Oh God.
Oh, so thanks for coming on, Myles. You're always fun to talk with.
100%, man.
It's
Yeah, 100%. It was an. I was just gonna say it's an absolute pleasure, Len. Like, thanks so much for having me. Like, and yeah.
Okay, brother. Well, we will see you soon. You can. Where can we follow you on the internet? Myles Price. Is there a website or for your training or for all the stuff you're doing?
Just follow me on Instagram. My handle is Myles Price MMA. So I'm putting up a lot of martial arts stuff there at the moment. A couple of tutorials to keep you guys busy, and yeah, sure. I throw up all sorts of silly shit there the whole time. So if you want to laugh at me as well, get on board, and maybe call me a rat underneath a couple of the comments. That usually gives me a laugh.
You've got a great way about it, buddy.